Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Passport to Photography. I'm Steve Carson, and in today's video we are going to be covering basic layer masks in Photoshop. If you've ever had any questions about how basic layers work, what are layers, in fact, if it's very basic in terms of what your curiosity has been, we're going to be covering all of that today. It's not going to be anything complicated or in-depth. It's just going to be kind of a broad stroke video on the basics of layer masks in Photoshop, how to use them, how to apply them, and what the benefits are. So if you've ever been curious about them, this is the video for you. Don't go away. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in, and I'm going to open a couple of images right now. There we go, and let's see. I think I was going to do, I was going to do these two. So I'm going to hold the shift key down, hold shift, and just do those two. It's going to take a few minutes. I took these images at the World War II memorial earlier in the month with my D800, and they're kind of big files. So first thing I do, so this is going to open up in Camera Raw because I always shoot in RAW, and I encourage all of you to do the same. So that's why we're in Camera Raw, and I'm going to go right up here to these little lines, and I'm going to hit Select All, because there's one thing I'm going to do to both of these. It's going to make a big difference. I'm going to go over here to the lens correction panel, and I'm going to click Remove Chromatic Aberrations and Enable Profile Corrections. Then I'm going to click Open Images, and now it's going to open each in Photoshop as its own separate image, and we'll see that here in a second. There's one, and then there'll be another one up here in a minute. Okay, and there's the other one. So right now, we're not showing any layers, obviously. It's one image here in Photoshop, and then here's just the one layer showing this image. If I turn it off using this little, actually I have to unlock that first. If I click the little eyeball here, it goes transparent. That's what this means right here. It's just transparent. When you turn it back on again, you can see the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this image that we're looking at here, and I'm going to place it directly on top of this picture here. And what you're going to see is, since there's going to be two pictures here stacked on top of one another, we're going to see two layers here, not one like we have now, but two. So let me go back and do that, and I'm going to use my shortcuts. It's we want to select the whole image, so it's Control A on PC for Control All. Then again, it's Control C to copy, and then I click that to be on that image now, and then I do Control V to paste. And so I have taken this image, copied all of it, and pasted it directly on top of this image. That's why one is above the other here. So here's our two layers. And again, if I click on the eyeball right here, all we're going to see is what's underneath, which is this other image. So there we go. And you'll notice when I do that, everything is shifting around a little bit. And that's because I didn't shoot this on a tripod this day when I was down in DC. So oftentimes, virtually almost all the time, whenever you are doing this kind of action right here where you're stacking and a very similar image on top of another one for the sake of performing a layer mask function like we're about to do here in Photoshop, what you want to do is, with this selected on, hold the shift button down and select that one as well. So make sure both of these are selected. Go up to Edit, go to Auto Align Layers. Very important. And under Projection, Auto is automatically going to be chosen. Leave everything else the same. So don't do anything here except click OK. It's going to work its magic and align the images. And so now, when we go back to here, when you I wouldn't look at the people, but look at the structures that aren't going to be moving. nothing's really moving. The clouds moved a little bit, but the pavement and so forth is pretty much standing still. So that's what you want. So I took this image here just to do some basic adjustments with my camera at the time before I started doing some more shooting of some things that I wanted. But this is a pretty good example of something that you could do in a crowded area where you want to take a picture of something that is important to you to take, but you don't want all the people in the picture. This is really where Photoshop starts to shine. So we're going to go ahead and do a layer mask. So what I'm going to do is this first layer here is this top layer is selected. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom and I'm going to click this. This is going to produce a layer mask on this first layer right here. So that's what a layer mask looks like. And so there's a rule of thumb here that I need to impart on everybody, which is black conceals, white reveals. So right now this layer mask is white, meaning meaning that we are not seeing anything from underneath from this other image. Excuse me, little frog in my throat. Perfect timing when I'm doing a video. So at any rate, white reveals, black conceals. So with that said, we're not seeing anything from the underlying image. But if I go over here to our color selector and I choose black as my primary color, and go up here and my brush is automatically selected already and my opacity is at 100%. If I adjust my brush, I'm just adjusting it with the bracket buttons on my keyboard here, the size of it. If I come over here, and again I've got my layer mask selected, and you know that because I've got these white little brackets around here. If I had that selected, it would move. So the focus is on the layer mask. If I come over here and paint with my black brush on the layer mask, look at that. I start to take these people completely out of the image. And look at that. You can't even tell that I ever did anything to the image right there. And so what you could do is in an image like this where you're at the location at the time, if you wanted to just hold your camera and snap a picture and then wait 5 or 10 seconds, take another picture, wait 5 or 10 seconds, take another picture, and just kind of keep doing that until you think everybody in your frame has moved around a little bit, then you can stack all these images together like what we're doing here, and you can start to take people out, and it looks like in the middle of the day you're the only one there because you can clean up all of these people. Now these happen to be in the underlying image below also, so we can't clean those guys out, but we could with some other people. But I really wanted, for the sake of the tutorial, to just show you this. Now I do know on this bottom image right here there's a person that's standing on that image right here. So if we wanted to, while I still have black on, I could start to just paint right here, and here she comes in from the bottom picture. And of course we don't want that, but I'm just showing you some of the capability. Now if we wanted to take her away, what did we say? Black conceals, white reveals. So if I flip back to painting in white, I get her back out of the image. Yeah, there we go. So it's really pretty slick. And so what we are basically doing is we're taking the black, we're painting over the people that were here originally a second ago. I'm painting in white, so I'm going to bring them back. So we switch to black. Black is concealing them. So we're taking the black brush and we are basically bringing through the area from the image, the exact same area from the image underneath. And the image underneath doesn't have anybody standing there, which is why we're just seeing nothing but basically patio right there. However, there is somebody in the bottom image right here. And so that's why when we start to expose this top layer right here to the bottom, we're bringing her in. So again, I'm just reiterating some things here again, just to make sure we're clicking. So that's something that's really important. And you can see on the layer mask where you have painted with your brush. That will always show up. And so like I said, if you had other exposures of this where you wanted to clean this up and get everybody out of there, then you could just start to bring in more photographs and start to layer them on top of each other. If we wanted to do that here, what I would do is, this top layer is already selected. I could hold Shift and click that. And so both layers are selected. And then if I right click, then I can go to Merge Layers. And now my layer mask and everything else has been merged into one single image. We could go back, open up another image. It would display right over here next to this second one that we used. And when that opens up, again, we could do Control A to select the whole thing, Control C to copy it, click over here and do Control V, and it would be a layer on top of this one, and we could start that process all over again. So that's it in a nutshell for layer masks and layers in Photoshop. Again, this was just a very, very basic overview. Again, just to kind of give everybody an idea, that the people that are not familiar with layers and layer masks, what it's about, why it's so powerful, and it's a great thing to use. I use layers constantly, and it's a great thing not only for things like this, but whenever you want to make any kind of adjustments, whether it be if you want to change the exposure or what have you, you can kind of click there. And again, it's another layer and a layer mask, so we can adjust brightness, we can adjust contrast, whatever we want to do. Get rid of that. And then we can toggle the effect on and off. And it's white, so it's displaying everything here that we've done in terms of an adjustment. If we wanted to just, if we said, yeah, you know what, the sky is too bright, I wanted this area, lit up, but I didn't want the other area, that's no problem. We can go ahead and change our color to black, make sure our mask is selected, and we can start to paint over this and bring through the sky from the layer below. And there you are. If you did that, I'm just kind of taking it a step further. If you did that and kind of thought, I like it, but not, I don't know, I'd like it a little bit brighter. Okay. Up here we have our opacity slider. It's at 100%, meaning that when we paint it on here, the effect is showing through 100%, as long as the opacity on your brush is also 100%. So you might look at that and go, okay, can we lessen that at all? Sure. Click that down, and then you start to notice that everything is starting to get affected on this layer, because we've got our entire layer mask selected, and it's going to affect the bottom picture here. So we can take the opacity down on this if we want, or we can leave it where it is. Now, if you want to go back and take some of the edge off of this correction that we made here and just the sky only, we can revert back to white, and let's just say, to make things easy, we'll go at around 50% or so, 49. And then I go back over it, and now it's only going to be half of an adjustment compared to what we had a moment ago when it was all black. So this is kind of an in-between. So I'm just sort of showing again the power of layers and masking in Photoshop. It's extremely powerful. It's very, very popular. It's kind of a hallmark feature that Adobe has had for years. I know since there's other programs now that use layers, but Adobe was the first, and it really revolutionized photo editing. So it's something to become familiar with and use it as much as you can. Now that we're done with this adjustment, again, I'm going to hold the Shift button down, select that bottom mask, and hit Merge Layers. And that's kind of how I work. I just kind of do 2 layers at a time, more or less, and then merge my layers together, and then go on to the next adjustment, generally. So at any rate, that's it for today's tutorial, and I just wanted to say, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below, and I'll look at those and get back to you as soon as I can. I usually am pretty responsive to those things. Also, if you found any value in today's video, if it's helped you and you'd like to see more of it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference to my channel. enables me to continue to bring high quality content to everybody, so we can all learn together on this journey. So it's a big help. So I do appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon. See ya.